and then we'll get started. Thank you. Gosar, David Mango, and Roy Harrington. Our Vice Chair, Tom Plamondon, is absent tonight to a late family emergency. The Secretary-Treasurer with us tonight is Justin Leung. The Planner is Marty Rokos, and the Secretary with us tonight is Ashita Sanjay. For each application that will be considered tonight, the following process will occur. I will briefly outline the purpose of the application. At that point, the applicant or agent will be given an opportunity to make a presentation. However, it's not required. It's the applicant's decision whether they wish to speak or let the application proceed on the merits of the information that we've received. Following any initial comments from the applicant, I'll invite members of the public who have an interest in the application to come forward and address the committee. Those members of the public who wish to speak must clearly state their name and address, and you must sign the request for notice form, which is on the table over here. As this information is being recorded, according to the Municipal Act and the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, and will form part of the public record. After completing the form, provide it to the Secretary-Treasurer. Each individual may speak only once on an issue, and once discussion has commenced in respect of a motion, no further presentation shall be made. I'll also ask, out of courtesy and time, that if there's more than one person to speak on the same issue, on the same application, I'll ask you to limit your comments to new comments, as opposed to just repeating what the speaker ahead of you may have said. Saying it twice doesn't make us listen any better. We get it, and we want to be respectful of everyone's time. This public meeting is being audio and video recorded, and your address, comments, and other personal information are being recorded. This will help our town clerk prepare accurate minutes and create a record that is available to the general public, and it will be available on the town website. Any questions about this collection should be directed to the town clerk. Please ensure that all questions or comments are directed through me as the chair. If relevant, I will request the appropriate person to respond. It should be noted that the applicant will be given the opportunity to respond to any questions or comments if the committee feels that's relevant. Please be advised that any of the reports being considered tonight are available also at the front here for you. Should you wish to receive notification of any of the decisions of tonight's meeting, please ensure you complete that appropriate form. The owners and the agents do not need to do that. They will be automatically notified. So now we'll commence with tonight's meeting. My apologies. My apologies. Okay, so we'll go ahead tonight with the Committee of Adjustment meeting for Thursday, December the 7th. We are looking for approval of the agenda before us tonight.
I'd like to put forward a motion to revise this evening's agenda. I propose that we put item 4 forward to number 1 and item number 8 to number 2. Both are straightforward. One's a deferral, one's an extension, and that would mean that the people who are here would not have to wait around.
Okay, is there a seconder for that? Thank you. All in favor? That carries. And then in favor of the agenda as amended, please. In favor? That carries. Thank you. Do we have any declarations of pecuniary interest tonight? Okay, thank you. Seeing none. We have minutes before us of the last meeting, November the 9th, meeting number 1711. Could I have a motion?
Also move.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Okay. All right, I don't have a seconder for that. Would someone like to put forward an alternative motion?
I'll put forward an alternative motion that we defer approval of the adoption of the minutes of the last meeting until the next meeting. Their late arrival did not allow me the opportunity to review them before the meeting.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for that?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? That carries, so we'll be deferring those minutes to the next meeting. Thank you. Okay, so to our revised agenda, we will be looking at item number 4, which is application 2017-41A through C. And what we have before us on that application is a request to defer this to a future meeting. Is the applicant or agent want to speak at all to this, if they're present? Okay, seeing none. Okay, you don't have to. If it's a straight deferral, you don't. If you want to tell us why, you can or not. It's up to you.
I'm just waiting on the natural heritage evaluation.
Okay, you have to give your name.
Oh, sorry, Daniel Hadcock.
Okay.
Bayview Avenue 14014.
Okay.
And just waiting on the natural heritage evaluation.
Okay, all right. And so is there a motion on this then? Okay, thank you. Roy, seconder? David? Thank you. All in favor of deferring? That carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, now we'll move to item number 8, which we've moved up to number 2. This is an application for minor variances that were approved by the Committee of Adjustment in December of 2015, which at the time contained a condition that they would be completed within 1 year, so that would be December of 2016, at which time an extension was requested and granted by the committee of that day, moving it to December of 2017. And now I understand we have a request to once more extend the deadline to meet the conditions to December of 2018. Is there anyone in the audience for this application that would like to speak to it? No? Any members of the public that would like to speak to this one? Okay, seeing none. Any questions or comments from committee members on this? No? 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 Okay, then I would look for a motion, please. It's on.
Okay.
I know you can't see that.
I would move that we grant an extension for 1 year to December 7, 2018 to fulfill the conditions for the minor variances.
Okay, is there a seconder for that? Okay, thank you. All in favor? That carries. Thank you. Okay. So now we will move back to number 1 on our original agenda. This is minor variance application for 54 Elderberry Trail, MV 2017-38AC. MV 2017-38A, the applicant is seeking relief from the provisions of zoning bylaw 6017 as amended, respecting to allow the construction of a 2-story detached dwelling and an accessory structure within the Oak Ridges Moraine. The property in question is in an estate residential ER zone. Section 34.4.1 bracket II of the zoning bylaw states net developable area of site that has impervious surfaces shall not exceed 15% of the total site area within a Category 1 landform conservation area. The applicant is proposing an impervious area of 16.5% to construct a 2-story detached dwelling and accessory structure, thus requiring a variance of 1.5%. Application 2017-38B, Section 34.4.1 bracket 1 of the zoning bylaw states that the net developable area of a site that is disturbed shall not exceed 25% of the total site area within the Category 1 landform conservation area. The applicant is proposing disturbed area of 31.3% for construction of the 2-story detached dwelling with accessory structure, thus requiring a variance of 6.3%. Application 2017-38C, Section 6.2.3 of the zoning bylaw requires a maximum building height of 3.5 meters for accessory structures. The applicant is proposing to construct an accessory structure, cabana, with a building height of 5.4 meters, thus requiring a variance of 1.9 meters. Planning Division had no objections. The Building Division had no comments. Engineering had no objections. Operational Services had no objections, subject to conditions. Central York Fire there were no comments received. Electra Utilities in York Region had no objections, and Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority had no objections, subject to conditions. Applicant, agent? Okay, could you, state your name in full, please?
My name is Stephen Chi, the agent representing the owners of the property.
Okay.
And with me today is Dylan Dewsbury from the architect's office, and he will be able to answer some of the questions as well. The owner of the property and his family are here today as well. So the zoning review has identified three variances pertaining to the area of the site as impervious surface, developable area of the site that is disturbed, and the height of an accessory structure. So the subject property is currently occupied by one single detached residential dwelling, and is proposed to be replaced by one single detached residential dwelling and associated accessory structure. The subject property is large and is set within an area of large lots, with a high percentage of lot dedicated to natural landscaping and features typical of residential settlement areas. So please note that the proposed dwelling and associated accessory structures and covered porches cover 7.85% of the lot, with 92.15% remaining as uncovered by buildings or structures. This will maintain the overwhelming majority of the land in the natural or permeable state, and therefore preserve the ecological and hydrological function of the land. The applicant is proposing to demolish the existing house, pool, driveway, and accessory structure, and to build a new building that is located to the east of the existing dwelling. The disturbed area is a combination of both existing house and the proposed dwelling. But please note that the area of the existing house and structures are being demolished will be improved with natural landscaping such as grass, trees. So the actual disturbed area after the construction would drop down to 16.5%, which is the same as the area of impervious surface. There will be little to no impact on the ecology or hydrology of the Oak Ridge Moraine, and this development will assist in contributing to the town of Aurora as a complete community, while still respecting the environment. The height of the proposed cabana is measured, if measured from ground to the eave, is less than 3.5 meters. So the variance of 1.9 meters is just the roof's height. The roof is designed to be consistent with the main dwelling. The proposed cabana is within a large lot with significant separation for surrounding structures. The proposed dwelling will be surrounded by existing trees and other proposed natural landscaping, which will act as the visual screening between the subject property and its neighbors. So that's the property. So the neighbors will likely not be able to see this cabana, and large dwelling with accessory structure is not uncommon in this area. So in our opinion, the variances are minor and will have no impact on any neighbors or the neighborhood. This application meets all four tests of the Planning Act, and we respectfully request the committee to approve these variances. Thank you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
That's great. Thanks very much. I'm just going to give the public an opportunity for comments, and then we'll likely bring you back for questions from the committee. Or is there any members from the public who'd like to speak to this one? Thank you. Please come forward, give us your full name and address. Speak directly into the microphone. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm a neighbor. My address is 4 Houdini Way, so I'm in the bottom right-hand corner of that picture. I contacted Justin...
Sorry, your full name, please, sir.
William Riddlemeyer. Sorry, I'm not used to public speaking. I contacted Justin Leong with some questions, and he wasn't able to answer them, so they're questions that I'd like to present to you. I'm not objecting to this development, but I would like to know the net developable area question, the impervious, is what is being asked for is 10% larger than is allowed under the Oak Ridge moraine. The net developable area is 25% larger, and the height of the cabana is 54% larger than are all regulated under the town of Aurora. And I'm just trying to figure out that a cabana that's 20 feet tall strikes me as an ancillary or an extra dwelling as opposed to a pool cabana. Are these requested variances normal in this area? Is this larger than are normally asked for? Is this something that's an extraordinary development? I don't know, and I couldn't get any answers on that.
Okay, thank you. Maybe, Marty, if I could direct that question to you as to the makeup, the surrounding area, we'd appreciate some comments. Thank you.
Through the chair, yeah, these applications are relatively common in this type of large estate lot area within the Oak Ridges moraine. There are like the height for the cabana of an extra 1.9 meters on top of the allowed 3.5. That scale of variance has been approved on a relatively common basis for this type of lot. Of course, we look at each application on its own merits and to determine whether or not it's appropriate and whether or not it meets the tests of the minor variance.
Thank you very much. Any other members of the public with comments? Okay, then I will look to the committee members for questions or comments. Nothing for you? Roy? None for you either. Okay. No questions from the committee at this point in time. We did not appear to receive any letters of in opposition on the file, so I will then look to the committee for a motion. Hank?
I put forward a motion to approve the three variances, 38A, 38B, and 38C, subject to the conditions recommended by staff.
Generally, we ask, are you aware of all of the conditions that have been placed in here and the time frame for meeting them, and are you satisfied that that's okay?
I'm aware of that, and I'm okay with that, yeah.
All right. A seconder for the motion. Thank you, Roy. All in favor? Carries. Thank you very much. Okay, the next application before us tonight is minor variance application for 12 Trillium Drive, file MV 2017-39. The applicant is seeking relief from the provisions of zoning bylaw 6000-17 as amended, respecting to allow reduction in interior side yard setback to construct a habitable room over an existing attached garage. The property in question is in a detached third-density residential R3 zone. Section 7.2 of the zoning bylaw requires a minimum interior side yard setback of 1.5 meters for buildings greater than 1 story. The applicant is proposing a habitable room above an existing attached garage with an easterly interior side yard setback of 1.3 meters, thus requiring a variance of, the report says 0.3, but my math says it's 0.2. Would staff like to clarify? 1.5 minus 1.3 by my schooling would be 0.2.
Through the chair, yes, you're correct. It should,
Okay,
yeah,
so the
0.2
1.5
meters,
is
yeah.
correct and the 1.3 is correct, so,
You're correct.
all right, thank you very much. So we're looking for a variance of 0.2 meters, members of committee. Planning Division, no objections. Building Division, no comments. Engineering, no objections. Operational Services, no comments. Central York Fire, no comments received. Electra Utilities, no objections, and York Region had no objections. Applicant or agent on this one? Okay, did you want to tell us anything, or, nope, you're good with the go, okay? Any members of the public want to speak to this one? Okay, seeing none, any comments or questions from the committee? Okay, go ahead, Hank.
Just a question, if you would. So the space over the garage, you're going to link it to the second story of the existing house?
I'm going to have to get one of you to come forward just to answer the questions on the record. I'm sorry, we can't record the nod of a head. Sorry. Thank you. If you could just give us your name, that'd be great, and then questions.
Lillian Menzies, 12 Trillium Drive. Yes, the room will be accessed through a bedroom on the second floor.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Any questions from this side? Okay. All right. Then I'll look for a motion, please.
Also move
Okay.
application MV-2017-39 be approved.
Okay. Seconder?
I second.
All right. Thank you. Any comments? Further comments? All in favor? That carries. Thanks very much. Now, the next one, committee members, we do have some additional paperwork that we received tonight on this one. Okay, so I'll just give you a second to pull this up. All right. Okay, so the next application before us tonight is minor variance application for 240 Industrial Parkway South, Unit Number 7, MV 2017-40. The applicant is seeking relief from the provisions of zoning bylaw 6017 as amended, respecting to allow a fitness center in part of a building that has uses such as industrial and warehouse. The property in question is in a general employment E2 zone. Section 10.1 of the zoning bylaw allows fitness centers, provided that no part of the building in which such uses are located are used for any commercial self-storage facility, warehouse, industrial use, motor vehicle body shop, or motor vehicle repair garage. The applicant is proposing a fitness center in part of a building that contains industrial and warehouse uses, thus requiring a variance from this bylaw. Planning Division had no objections, but they do have a restriction. The Building Division, no comments. Engineering Division, no objections. Operational Services, no comments. Engineering, or Central York Fire Services, no comments received. Electra Utilities or York Region had no objections, and Metrolinx, no comments were received. Applicant or agent? Go ahead.
Hi, Madam Chair. My name is Georgette Dunn, and I reside at 16171 Bathurst Street in Newmarket, Ontario. I am the owner of a sole proprietorship, which is called Fearless MMA, which is York Region's best destination for mixed martial arts, and we were established in 2013. To my knowledge, Fearless MMA is the only registered Aboriginal business operated in Aurora. I am an Aboriginal Canadian, a member of the Métis Nation of Ontario, and our proposed move to 240 Industrial Parkway South has been offered grant funding by the Métis Nation of Ontario as a supported, wholly owned Aboriginal business by Wabatek Business Development Corporation. And this is great news for the town of Aurora, which should support Aboriginal entrepreneurship. Fearless MMA is a unique fitness business that offers instruction by athletes that compete at the international level, a level not offered in Aurora currently. Amin Almanek is a Pan American Game gold winner, and he's just returning from Mexico for a gold medal in Muay Thai. Donovan Boucher is a Commonwealth and Canadian welterweight title holder in boxing. He's also a resident of Aurora. That just names a few of our established athletes that teach out of our center. We were originally established in 2013, and interestingly enough, we were located at 225 Industrial Parkway South for 2 years. We have experienced leasing units in industrial spaces. Since its inception in 2013, we've operated in industrial spaces with lesser parking spaces than available at 240 Industrial Parkway South. There are 9 identical businesses to Fearless MMA located fewer than 1 kilometer from 240 Industrial Parkway South, operating in the same capacity, at the same zoning, with warehousing, industrial manufacturing, and truck traffic. They are CrossFit Arc at 40 Englehart, Watson's Family Karate at 40 Englehart, Moksha Yoga at 40 Englehart, Kids Super Gym at 40 Englehart, Baird's Taekwondo at 225 Industrial, Shaolin Martial Arts at 75 Mary, Individual Performance at 16 Mary, 905 BJJ and MMA at 10 Furbacher, Senshuken Martial Arts at 41 Industrial Parkway South. Fearless MMA is not LA Fitness. To be referred to in the same breath as a fitness center like LA Fitness is not an accurate description of our business, nor our activities, nor is the reference of a bingo hall that occupied 30,000 square foot in 240 Industrial Parkway and seated more than 450 people. We run classes after business hours at 5, 6, 7, and 8 p.m., and we close at 9 p.m. Monday to Friday. The bulk of our members come during these times, with the maximum occupancy of our classes limited to 20 members on a check-in basis, and I can explain that more in a moment. During the day, we offer one-to-one private training each hour, making the traffic flow during the day much less than other businesses in the complex. Our statistics, 78% of our members are Aurora residents that depend on our club for their health and well-being. 3% of our members are under the age of 14, and the other 97% are over the age of 14. 45% of our members arrive to the club by public transport or parental drop-off, lessening the vehicle traffic. 32% of our members are families, meaning that one vehicle brings all students. We have the ability to control attendance. We have a state-of-the-art online cloud-based application where we can limit attendance as we grow. We can open up classes on the hour at different hours of the day, and we can restrict it so that students have to sign in or register for a class, and we can limit the amount of attendees if we needed to. Pedestrian traffic and the delivery truck. There's 2 driveways to Industrial Parkway South. One is for trucks and one is seemingly for passenger vehicles. There should be no concern of delivery trucks hitting pedestrians at any time, as they should not be in the parking area. The turning radius in the back northeast corner is not designated for large trucks to turn, and therefore all trucks should be using the truck driveway. Our clients will not have access to the back of this unit, nor will they ever conduct, or we will never conduct activities in the parking lot. Port Royal Mills, located at 240 Industrial Parkway, just a couple units down from us, is listed online as having an excess of 17 employees. This would essentially mean that their car and traffic burden during the day would be higher than the use of Fearless MMA, therefore putting their staff at just as much pedestrian risk as our clientele. In the center there, the largest unit in the center is 240 Industrial Parkway South, and you can clearly see that to the south there is a driveway with large truck, radius to back up and deliver commercial goods or warehousing goods, and the other driveway more to the north is one for passenger vehicles. So really the transport trucks and the passenger vehicles, they shouldn't really be crossing paths. The parking space availability at 240 Industrial Parkway South. There are 150 parking spaces for passenger vehicles at the property. I've personally visited the property at 240 Industrial Parkway every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the past month at 9, 2, and 6 p.m. In the next slide, I've summarized some of my visits. So my visits are on the left side, the date, the times that I were there in the middle column, and the amount of empty parking spaces that I counted, space by space by space. So you can see that at any given time, there's been no fewer than 74 empty parking spaces during those peak times. How do we play this video? So this is 4 p.m. on a Wednesday. This is just in front of the building that we're proposing to move into. You can see that there's small little pockets of parking that represent a couple of employees that work at these individual units, but this was my experience for the entirety of the month. 70, 80, 90, 100, 110 empty parking spaces. So just a little visual. I don't know if we want to watch the entire thing, but it sort of all looks like that, of sparse car parking and many empty spaces. So we can probably, okay, that's good. It's a long one. I'll save you that. So yeah, in short, I feel that the business meets the, Aurora's plan for entrepreneurship and development, and I feel like the impact on the traffic and other business owners in the property would be minimal, and I hope that you guys grant us the variance.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll ask you to stay close, and because I'm sure we may have some comments. Sit down, though. It's all right, because I'm going to ask if there's any members of the public that want to speak to this application. Nope. All right. Is the property owner or the leasee or the management company here?
He isn't. He was unavailable to come.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
But he supports the application.
Yeah. Okay. I had a couple questions about the driving that I wouldn't expect you to know the answer as a tenant. So
okay.
That's okay. All right. Then I will look to committee members for comments or questions on this one. David, you good? Roy, you're still reading the extra paper on it, right? I know. It was tough. We got a lot of emails towards the end of the day today. Do you want to, you got anything, Hank? And we'll give Roy a few minutes.
I'll get started. This is a question about your comments with respect to parking, and there being lots of it, and the fact that the vehicular cars / small trucks have one way, large trucks are on the other way. Appreciate that. I did visit the site. I can see from your aerial photo that that's the situation. But are there any guarantees that large trucks don't in fact circumvent around the building to get to that loading dock?
Well, the radius for turning in the back corner by the Port Mills Royal is very, very narrow. You wouldn't be able to turn a large truck around in that corner. So there would be no very large trucks because there's no dropping off or loading bays on the front of the unit, right? And the most important issue to raise is that many of the businesses established in that property have more employees accessing pedestrian use during the day than I will have visiting my facility. So, I mean, there's pedestrian traffic there, but as evidenced by the video as well, there's not a lot of car traffic on the passenger vehicle side. I can't speak to how many trucks come in and out of the more southern side in a day, but we will not be allowing our members access to the back of the unit. I know that there was an issue with other facilities around allowing their members to run or jog in the summertime. That's not what we do. We're not joggers. We're not runners. We're martial artists. So we won't be partaking in outdoor pedestrian activities.
Just follow-up question.
Yeah.
So you're currently located at 225 Industrial Parkway?
We used to be. That was our first 2-year lease. That was about 2.5 years ago. We're currently at 110 Connaught.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay, stand there.
Your comment, most of the activity takes place at, 5, 7, and 8 o'clock at night? Did I hear you right?
5, 6, 7, and 8.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Yes.
So how many might you have at each, say, one of those sessions?
Generally no more than 20 because it's only led by one instructor at a time.
No more than 20?
Yes.
And some, as you say, families come in the same car, so.
They do, and we actually have quite a lot of our members attend Williams High School in Aurora High, and they walk after school to attend the 5 o'clock class or their parental drop-offs, meaning their parents pull in, park, they get out of the car, they go into the facility, and then their parents pick them up. So again, another point that the burden of vehicles is pretty minimal. When we were at 225 Industrial Parkway and currently at 110 Connaught, we don't have more than 15 parking spaces allocated to, it's assigned parking, and we've never had a bylaw infraction, we've never upset another business, we've never parked outside of our permitted use.
I know there's reference made to the bingo hall, but there's no connection. That shouldn't even be referred to.
No, but
no connection with you.
Yeah, no, I understand. It was a much larger, grander scale.
Sure
It was 30,000 square feet, and it could seat 500 people, and people enjoy bingo much more than they enjoy punching people.
Could I ask, Madam Chair, staff, has there been any complaints about parking, Marty, maybe?
Through the chair, we don't deal with parking complaints in my department, so I can't speak to that. But the parking requirement in this zone is 1.5 spaces per 100 square meters, which gives it a total of 81, and the number of parking spots on site is 143. So there is an excess of parking. And just speaking from a personal note, I've done some MMA training as well at a gym that's actually quite a bit bigger than what's being proposed here. So I can, just from my own experience, I can confirm that most of the traffic is at night after daytime working hours and outside of when the peak periods are for traffic and parking. So just plaintiff staff don't have any concerns with the parking.
Okay, so just a couple comments from me before I call for the vote. I also visited some odd times myself, and it appears that there's ample parking there for all the businesses that exist. I don't disagree with that. I did have a bit of concern, and I'll put it on the record that town staff, the parking control, may want to look into. I did go in the northern driveway, which is the one expected for cars, drove down twice, took a look. The first time it appears you can go right around the building. And I attempted to do that, notice that very tight corner that you're talking about. I drive a fairly large vehicle. I wouldn't recommend most people do that, especially after dark. And then secondly, came right smack on the back of a transport truck who was parked straight. I could not get through. So then what I was forced to do was try to back around that very tight corner. So I think there needs to be some signage there to instruct people that they should not be trying to make that loop around the building. The trucks should go in and out of their own side, and cars should be going in and out of their own side, because it was quite awkward for me to back around that tight corner. So just more of a comment for safety in future as the plaza fills up. I noticed there's a few empty units in there. So anyway, that's more of a comment than a question. Obviously, I'll look for a motion.
Application be approved subject to one restriction.
Okay, thank you. And you do know there's a restriction in there that you're limited to that unit only. Okay, thank you, David. All right, thank you. All in favor? That carries. Thanks. Next one, we move to number 1, so now we're on to old number 5 here. And we do also have additional information on this number 5 application as well, received towards the end of the day, so hopefully you've had a chance to look through some of it, if not all of it. This would be minor variance application 2017-42A and B for 108 Hollage Boulevard. The applicant is seeking relief from the provisions of zoning bylaw number 6017 as amended, respecting to allow daycare center as a permitted use. The property in question is in a community commercial C4 187 zone. Section 24.187.1 of the zoning bylaw does not include daycare center as a permitted use. The applicant is proposing daycare center as a permitted use for the subject property unit, thus requiring a variance from this provision of the bylaw. Application B is seeking relief from the same zoning bylaw, respecting to allow reduction in a minimum landscape strip width. The property in question, section 24.187.6 of the zoning bylaw, requires a minimum 3-meter width for a landscaping strip abutting property lines. The applicant is proposing a minimum 1-meter landscaping strip abutting adjacent McMaster Avenue, thus requiring a variance of 2 meters. The Planning Division had no objections but do have a condition. The Building Division had no comments, Engineering no objections. Operational Services had no objections but they also have a condition. Central York Fire Services, no comments were received. Electric Utilities and York Region had no objections. We have the applicant or agent on this file, please.
My name is Natalie Lamb, and I'm from Malone Given Parsons. We are the planning consultants for Hollage Properties, Inc., the owners of this property. The property subject to this application before you is located northwest of Bayview and Hollage Boulevard. The property extends from McMaster Avenue all the way to Bayview Avenue. However, the building that is subject to this application is on the west side only, identified by the star. The property is currently a commercial plaza with a range of uses. To the north are residential units. To the east, across Bayview Avenue, is a vacant property that's identified for a secondary school. To the south is more commercial uses all the way down to Wellington. And to the west, across McMaster Avenue, is a hydro corridor. The owner is proposing a daycare center with outdoor play area on this property. No changes will be made to the actual building, but to the area behind the building, we will be reconfiguring it to accommodate the outdoor play area. The row of parking that is next to the building will be increased, and the overall result will be a reduction in 3 parking spaces. However, the zoning bylaw standards for parking are still met, and we actually still exceed it by 3 spaces. 2 variances are required for this property, as you had outlined. The first is to permit a daycare center use, and the second is to permit a minimum 1 meter wide landscape strip along McMaster Avenue, where 3 meters is currently required. So there are 4 tests under the Planning Act that we're required to meet, and we believe that this proposal satisfies. We've also reviewed the staff report and understand that staff are generally in support of the application, and they have not raised any objections. The first test is related to maintaining the general intent and purpose of the official plan. The site is currently designated existing commercial. In particular, it's Community Commercial Center, and this designation allows for a full range of retail and commercial uses in order to serve the wider residential community. The proposed daycare center would be part of this full range of uses that are envisioned. Further, the commercial centers are encouraged to be located at a strategic intersection. Since Hollage Boulevard is a major collector and McMaster Avenue is a minor collector, we believe there's adequate transportation infrastructure to support the function of this commercial center and the proposed use. Therefore, we believe that this first test is met. The second test is related to maintaining the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. As you had mentioned, the site is currently zoned community commercial with a site-specific exception. And within the town, in other community commercial zones, daycare centers are permitted on a site-specific basis. Therefore, this variance would be consistent with the existing bylaw. We're also asking for a variance to the minimum landscape strip adjacent to McMaster Avenue, and landscaping strips are generally intended to provide adequate distance and buffering between uses, as well as provide green space. To the west of us is a hydro corridor, which we don't believe would be negatively impacted, and to the north are residential units, which are currently screened by a existing planting buffer that will provide some reduction in visibility as well as noise effects from the outdoor play area. The third test is in regard to desirability, and in our opinion, the variance is desirable for the appropriate use of the land, as the daycare will contribute to serving a wider residential community, which is the intent of the designation. Lastly, we are of the opinion that the variance is minor in nature. Since the daycare center is already permitted on similar sites, the request would not be a major departure from the existing official plan and zoning bylaw regime. As well, the proposed reduction in the landscape width is minor, as the existing planting is already there to minimize the impact. As well, I would note that the landscape strip actually tapers from 3.5 meters at the south end to 1.1 meter in the north end, and the variance is not intended for the whole length of that. And the operator has also noted to us that this space will only be used for approximately 2 hours a day. Lastly, we know that there have been a couple of comments that were received from the public, and we'd like to take this opportunity just to address some of those concerns. We've heard that there's a concern that the daycare center is in close proximity to the hydro corridor. As part of the application process, staff in various departments of the town were circulated and have reviewed the proposed daycare use, and no concern has been raised to us. It has also been raised that the daycare center should not be permitted as near a potential place of entertainment. However, it would be our opinion that there's no conflict with these uses. It's actually compatible, because a place of entertainment could be an arcade or an indoor playground that parents could take their kids to after the daycare. We've also heard concern that the proposed daycare is close to existing daycares, and we've confirmed with staff that there are no existing regulations from the town or from ministries that require a minimum distance separation between these uses. Childcare centers are private entities and market-driven, and the owner of this property believes that there is a demand for daycare centers and has therefore brought forward this application. So we don't believe that this is a land use planning issue that we are considering. Safety barriers were also commented on, and the outdoor play area will be fenced off, so safety barriers are provided. And lastly, there was a comment regarding adequate parking, and as I've mentioned, the zoning bylaw regulations are still met, and we actually exceed the regulations or the standards by 3 spaces. And the operator has informed us that pickup and drop-off times are staggered in the morning and the afternoon, so they've never experienced any congestion issues. So in summary, we believe that the proposed variance meets the 4 tests outlined in the Planning Act and should be approved by committee. Staff have not raised any objections or concerns in the report, and we have no issues with the conditions that they have outlined. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you for your time, and we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Excellent, thanks very much. I'll just look for comments from the public first, and then we'll probably get you back for some questions. Great. So members of the public that would like to comment on this application, please. Okay, seeing none. We have received a number of submissions from members of the public, including one that looks like a bit of a petition with a number of signatures on it. The committee has that before them for their consideration. We have been provided some information concerning electric and magnetic fields in the area, and we've had an opportunity to look through some of that. So I will, if there's no members of the public, I will look to the committee for comments or questions. Okay, go ahead, David.
Through the chair. Maybe this to the town staff and also probably the applicant. Just on confirmation, I can see the location of the property there. I can see the location of the hydro corridor. Since we all live within the area, the power lines are actually in the middle. I would guess this is designed according to how it's supposed to be in terms of dissipation of electromagnetic waves and so on. I'm seeing houses on the left side, so I'm looking at these photographs here. To the left side, they've got the backyard, certain distance, and then the houses, people are living there. And I'm seeing also on the east side, you have got the road right of way, which is approximately, I would say, the backyards on the left side. I haven't heard any comment from you in the report regarding any effect as arranged by the residents who have made a petition that may cause problems and so on. Can we assume that the town staff, they've looked at it and they think there's no issue?
Through the chair, I haven't had a chance to talk to the planner who wrote this specifically about that issue, but in general, it is routine to have residential properties abut hydro corridors, just in the way that you described, in the way that we see on the air photo here. That's common in all municipalities, and it's done like that routinely without any issues or concerns from a land use perspective.
Okay. I think that's it for me, yeah.
Roy, any questions or comments?
It's quite an extensive report. I don't know, I can't really understand it. It's above me. But with all the residential being built close proximity, I don't think we've heard of anybody dying of cancer or et cetera, as mentioned in the report. It's a big report, and it's kind of big for me.
Right. Hank, any questions or comments?
Through you, Madam Chair. Marty, just to follow up to the question about the effects of the hydro corridor. Planning staff wouldn't look at that routinely, right? They look at planning matters, the electromagnetic whatever from this hydro line. That would not normally be looked at.
Through the chair, that's correct. That's not really our expertise in those types of things, but the way that the community has been laid out with residential from low to high density along the hydro corridor, that is standard practice.
Thanks, Marty. Another question, this would be for the applicant. I have a question in terms of the layout behind the building. If you could come to the microphone, please. I note that you've eliminated all the parking on the north side of the building, and you've outlined a proposed outdoor play area. And beyond that to the north is more landscaping, which I gather is currently pavement. What I see as the section to the west? So where the proposed outdoor play area is, and then you're moving over towards McMaster, and you're looking for this variance. And I'm wondering, what is going in there that you require that variance?
That,
Perhaps we
believe
could
that's
get
a
that- I'm sorry, could we get that site plan just back up so that we'll all have reference to what Hank's referring to? That's the one, thank
Yeah.
you.
So you're speaking about next to the B, right? The dashed line, within
Yeah.
the dashed line?
I'm looking at the area. So you see where proposed outdoor play area is, and then the dotted line continues towards B, and then to the south and back to the building. So what's going to be in that area that you need the variance?
That is an extension of the outdoor play area. Those are both, I guess it would be, the dash is outlining the fencing. If you would notice, next to the building, there's entrances that are shown. So that entire L-shaped area is the outdoor play area.
Okay, I got it now. Okay, so what kind of a structure, fencing, would you put around that, for example, along McMaster? Are you proposing a chain link? Are you proposing wooden fence? What kind of a structure, what would be the height of that?
We would expect that it would be a chain link with decorative fencing to comply with the zoning bylaw in terms of height.
Okay, thank you. Follow-up question in terms of, you're saying you're still going to have adequate parking. In fact, you're exceeding the spacing. But this is a kind of a come in, drop off type scenario, as opposed to other places where you might be parking for a while. So have you addressed that issue, like coming and going, as opposed to parking for any length of time?
Are you speaking to limiting?
To the what?
So could you repeat the question?
I'm trying to understand your parking. You said you have adequate parking. I'm not questioning that. But this is a drop-off type facility, drop-off pickup. Okay, so you have enough capacity to address those coming needs, the pressure points?
Based on the operator's experience, they don't expect all the drop-offs to occur all at once. It happens between like a 2.5 hour time period. And so they only have about 73 students. And those are a combination of full-time students and, not students, but children, full-time members and part-time members. So the number of cars that are going in are spread throughout 2.5 hours in the morning, 2.5 hours in the afternoon, and is also limited to a smaller number of members.
Okay, so what we're talking about is relocating an existing childcare center from another location to here?
No. This is a new provider.
A brand new facility?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it's going to have up to 73 kids in there?
Yes, that is their maximum cap.
Okay. Just a question, I don't know. What's the space requirements for children at this level?
Good evening, members of committee. My name is Lauren Capilongo. I'm also an agent for the applicant from Malone Given Parsons. I'm not sure exactly of the space requirements, but I believe that there are ministry guidelines that any daycare and childcare operator would have to comply with. So it's our understanding that these guys have some experience operating a daycare center in another municipality, and so we would expect that full compliance with that guideline would be complied with here at this location.
Thank you.
Here, sorry. Do you remember of the public that wishes to speak? Okay. Yeah, no, I'll make an exception. Come on forward. Full name and address, please.
I apologize. My name is Adrian Sarmasag. I live at 67 Valemount Way in Aurora. There is also a matter of staff parking because of for a 73 children facility, there'll be about 12 staff. So I don't know if that was actually accounted for, because that would it'd be crowding the parking lot quite a bit.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's your question. All right.
It's
thank
not
you.
a question, it's just a
comment.
remark.
No,
actually.
I will
Yeah.
ask staff to address that. Typically, if parking is an issue within an application, we're asked to make a variance for parking as well. If staff has any indication at all that there won't be enough, we are not being asked to talk about parking in this application, which tells me that in staff's review, there is ample parking, but I'll get staff to confirm that for you. Thank you.
Through the chair, this was reviewed by building staff for bylaw conformity, and it does comply to the parking requirements. And I can speak to the part about staff a little bit as well. This was a retail store previously. Now with a daycare, it tends to be actually lower demand for parking for a daycare than what you'd get for a retail store, and that's reflected in the zoning. The parking for this plaza is a minimum 4.5 spaces per 100 square meters, and for a daycare, like a standalone daycare, would be 2.5. So it all, obviously the 4.5 is what applies here, but just for a point of comparison, the 2.5 is what a standalone daycare would require. So that use tends to have lower parking demand than a retail store. I can also add to my previous comment about the hydro corridor. Power Stream was circulated, and they didn't have any comments. And just similarly with residential development that's next to a hydro corridor, they would get circulated for any potential comments.
Actually, thank you for reminding me of that, Marty. Electra Utilities is the new name of the former Power Stream Hydro Corporation for this area, and they had no objections, obviously, so that
Mr. Leung.
that's important to note. And I think Marty's answered, so typically a daycare actually requires less parking than the former retail use, so it wouldn't appear to be any kind of an issue.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I just had sort of one question concerning the buffer, and it puts my mind a little bit at ease here. It's really only a very small portion of it, I would think, that needs the variance, because clearly the road goes this way and the fence goes straight. It kind of comes to that corner. But just for my own satisfaction, so we're going to have a fence, and then we're going to have a planted buffer of 1 meter, and then we've got a sidewalk, don't we? And then we've got a boulevard before we've got a road. So there is a significant distance between where the children will actually play before there's actually a roadway. Would that be correct? Okay, thank you. Pardon me? I think between the sidewalk and the road there is. Yeah.
Yes, actually, I drove
Yeah.
over the paved surface and then a little bit of steep. your sidewalk, and then another
Yeah.
grassy area.
Another grassy
Or that
area.
is the, or
Both
the
sides,
boulevard.
yeah, the
Before
sidewalk,
it goes
yeah.
to sort of a
That's
flat
what-
area
That's
where
what
there'll
I-
be fence.
Excellent, that's what I thought I saw too. Okay, thank you very much. So then I will look to the committee for a recommendation on this one.
Through the Chair, I move that the two applications be approved, subject to the conditions suggested in the staff's report.
Okay, and you are aware of the conditions in the report, and you're okay with those, all right? We'll note for the record that you did nod. I won't make you run up again. All right, a seconder, please?
I'll second it.
Thank you very much. All in favor? That carries. Thank you. Okay, our next application tonight is a minor variance application for 218 Earl Stewart Drive, units number 3 and 4, MV 2017-43. The applicant is seeking relief from the provisions of zoning bylaw number 6000-17 as amended, respecting to allow fitness center as a permitted use in part of a building that contains uses such as industrial and warehouse. Same, right? This is, I haven't mixed these up, have I? No, okay. Sorry, just I thought I read this before. I did. The property in question is in a business park, EBP 278 zone. Section 24.78.1.2 of the zoning bylaw allows fitness center provided that no part of the building in which the use is located is used for any commercial self-storage facility, warehouse, industrial use, motor vehicle body shop, or motor vehicle repair shop. No wonder I woke up having deja vu this morning. The applicant is proposing a fitness center dance school in a building, units 3 and 4 of the subject property that contains such uses as industrial and warehouse, thus requiring a variance from this provision. Planning Division had no objections, but they have a restriction. Building Division, no comments. Engineering Division, no objections. Operational Services, no comments. Central York Fire Services, no comments received. Electra Utilities, no objections. York Region, no objections. Applicant, agent, hi. Did you wish to come forward, or? All right, okay, thank you very much. Members of the public that would like to speak to this application? Seeing none, then I will look to the committee. I'll note that we have some, do we have letters on this one? Yes, we do. We had, actually, that's not true. We had a letter that was withdrawn. So, thank you. Then we'll just state for the record, we had a letter, but the objection was withdrawn. And I'll look to the committee then for comments or questions. Yes. And then we received an email that it had been withdrawn. Okay. I'm correct on that, am I, Justin? Just maybe want to speak to that? Thank you. Okay, so we got it, and then it was withdrawn fairly shortly. My understanding is it was withdrawn because in the terms of the lease, current tenants are not allowed to object to minor variances?
Through the chair, I believe that was what was communicated to me. However, again, the enforcement of that type of provision, I'm not sure about that from a legal perspective, but I think that was what was expressed to me. Yes.
Thank you. I actually had a few concerns when I saw that because I thought it sounds a bit counter to the Planning Act. I mean, this whole process is very legislated, and comments are always welcome on any of these applications, so I was a bit surprised by that.
Through the chair, I did let the person who had submitted their letter of concern, I did let them, after this was indicated to me, I told them that from the planning perspective, if you do have a concern, then you should register it with the committee, but they chose to withdraw it.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate those comments. Thanks very much. Okay. Did I ask for members of the public? I did. Yeah, so we're done. And committee, comments, questions? Roy, go ahead.
Could I ask, whoops, Irish, Scottish, or could an elderly gentleman like me be there?
Good evening. My name is Rebecca Cilia, and I live at 758 Coulter Street in Newmarket. And we do not Irish, but acro, jazz, ballet, hip hop, lyrical, contemporary, musical theater, and we do recreational and competitive dance. So, but of course, you can come and dance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Promise me you'll put that on YouTube. Yes. No. I forget I should say off the record when I make those comments. Yeah. Any other questions, comments, Roy? No? All right, then I'll look for a motion from the committee, please. Roy?
I'd like to move approval
All right.
of,
And we
subject to one condition, the variance applies exclusively to lots 3 and 4.
Units.
And elderly gentlemen are welcome. Thank you.
All right, a seconder for that, please. All right, thank you, Hank. All in favor? That carries. Thank you. And our final application tonight, which is minor variance application 55 Eric T. Smith Way, MV 2744A through D. I'll try to shorten down the reading of this if I can. The applicant is seeking relief from the provisions of zoning bylaw 6017 as amended, respecting to allow an increase in maximum building height to facilitate construction of a 4-building office complex on the subject property. The property is in a business park exception BP-4 zone, section 27.d.8.2.4 of the zoning bylaw requires a maximum building height of 4 stories. The applicant is proposing building B to have a maximum of 5 stories, thus requiring a variance of 1. Variance number 44B is respecting to allow a reduction in the distance between 2 buildings on the same property to facilitate the construction of the 4-building office complex. Section 27.d.8.2.4 of the zoning bylaw requires the distance between 2 buildings on the same lot to be a minimum of 0.25 times the sum of the building height, or 12 meters, whichever is greater. The applicant is proposing 5.7 meters between 2 buildings, B and C, thus requiring a variance of 6.3 meters. Application 44C, Section 27.d.8.1 of the zoning bylaw does not include medical office clinic as a permitted use. The applicant is proposing to include medical office clinic as a permitted use in Building B, thus requiring a variance from the provision of this bylaw. And application D, Section 27.d.8.3 of the zoning bylaw requires a maximum floor area ratio for office use is 50%. The applicant is proposing a floor area ratio of 54% for office use, thus requiring a variance of 4%. Please note that this property is also subject to an application for site plan approval, file number SP 2016-06. Planning Division had no objections. Building Division had no comments. Engineering, no objections. Operational Services, no comments. No comments received from Central York Fire. Electra Utilities had no objections, and York Region had no objections. And we appear to have no suggested restrictions or conditions. Applicant or agent? 50% shot, right? All right. Did you have anything you wanted to present to us tonight? All right. Thank you very much. Members of the public who'd like to speak to this application? No? Okay. Seeing none, then I'll look to the committee for comments or questions.
No comments.
No? Roy, go ahead.
4 buildings on one property. Would there be will each one maybe have their own legal property? In other words, if you got a lot of extra parking on your lot, I'm going to come over and sneak into it because there's room. You know what I'm getting at? Would there be restrictions or a barricade or something?
Good evening.
Could you give us your full name just
yes,
before you
my
start?
name is David Ekman. I'm the architect for the project.
Thank you.
14961 Youngest Street, Unit B, Aurora. I didn't quite understand the question. Could you repeat?
Could you repeat your question? Sorry?
Sorry, yeah, I think
Oh,
he's
repeat
just
the
simply
question.
asking, with 4 buildings, are they
Yes.
going to be separately designated parking, or is it going to be 4 buildings? Is there a site plan available maybe we could throw up, or something that at least gives us an idea where the buildings will sit and where the parking will sit? That would be helpful, would it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's one in the report,
So
but,
basically, there are 4 buildings. 3 of them would be office buildings. One would be a parking structure, which is located at very back. And if we have the site plan, I could illustrate.
I mean, I can see. One, two.
okay, so maybe just walk us through this
Sure,
plan, if you wouldn't mind.
What we have on the right side of the drawing, it's the whole site. It's shown as is the site plan. We have 2 buildings in front, which would have 4-story height, and the use would be office building. The building right here, that one would be a medical office use. And the building at the very back, over here, that is going to be the parking structure, which one of the variances is for the, the distance between the parking structure and the building that we will be serving, which is the medical office building. So one of the variances would refer to that. The other variance is for the height of the medical office building, which is the building number B. And you can see that it's at the very back, and basically there should be no issues for the extra height. And it should be noted that the front of the site, Eric T. Smith is at the very north of the property, and the distance from the medical building that's being proposed as 5-story is quite a bit.
So in actual fact, it sounds as though the medical building will somewhat hide the parking structure, which I think would give it
Exactly.
a rather attractive look from the
Yes.
street view, more so than looking at a
Exactly.
parking structure.
And the other thing is, if we look at the topography of the land, the land at the back is at a much higher elevation, so it's basically hiding the parking structure from the back. So the parking structure is very much inside the land, or in, at the, it's basically hidden from the south side. Yes.
Would there be any, will all buildings look alike, or will there be some minor variances that they're not boring looking, if you know what I mean? Architecturally, will they be kind of different, dressed up?
We have submitted the overall architectural design, and there has been reviews for the from urban design by planning department, and they are quite satisfied with the look. And we don't have, we have tried to keep them consistent, try to have a kind of a uniform look, but there is kind of a bit differences from the building in front and the building in the back. But there is uniformity in building material and the design of the buildings.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions, hey, comments? No? Okay, then I will look for a motion.
I'll put forward a motion to approve the three applications, MV 217-44A through MV 217-44D, as presented.
Second? Thank you. All in favor? That carries. Thank you very much.
No conditions.
No, no conditions. It's got to go through site plan, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what the town can.
Yeah, all right. So just before we adjourn, any new business or comments from the committee, or? No? No? So I would just maybe one comment, a request, Justin, on our behalf, maybe to the clerk's department, for the minutes a little sooner. The day of the meeting is absolutely 100% too late for us to have time to look at them, get back any comments if we have any issues. So being we only meet once a month, I would hope that that would be ample time to give us at least a few days, if not a week, to review those minutes before and we will end up doing 2 sets next meeting, I presume. All right, if you could just make that request on our behalf, I'd appreciate it. Motion to adjourn. Thank you. We are adjourned.